What is up, BattleBots fans? Hardcore Kid here with the series finale of this season of the Hardcore Podcast. To my left, I have Otaku Nate.
This is the way the season ends. Not with a bang, but with debris strewn all over the battle box.
Yes. And joining us, we have one of the 4 finalists of tonight's episode. He just celebrated his birthday. Team Whiplash's Matt Vasquez.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Happy belated birthday, Matt.
Thank you, Brandon.
And I believe this is his first appearance on the show.
It is his first appearance on the podcast.
Yes.
But not the first on your channel.
No, of course not. Yeah, he is Nate Franklin.
Hi guys.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm all right.
To avoid confusion, we shall refer to him as Other Nate from now on.
Yeah, kind of like how we have another guy named Brandon Young, and we always refer to him as Other Brandon.
Or, as the idea I got was, much like how Angry Joe has Other Joe.
Word. Yeah, so this was the episode 20, the final episode of Season 3 of BattleBots, and we were down to the last 4 machines. It was Bite Force, Whiplash, Minotaur, and Lockjaw. And I honestly thought this was like one of the best seasons of robot combat ever. This final episode felt kinda...
Yeah.
Well...
It felt like I was watching the ABC seasons again.
Well, granted, obviously they were going to be a bit short since there was only going to be 4 matches.
At the very least, give us the 3rd place playoff.
Yeah. What's a 3rd place playoff gonna do?
I know. It's just one more fight to pad out the time.
I think because didn't they have other rumbles? Like I know there were a few matches that weren't aired, but did they have any rumbles?
I don't think there was the big rumble for the last spot in the tournament, but there were a lot of grudge matches. I think there were a few they didn't show at least.
I would have loved for them to just have had, like, a big rumble for all the bots that didn't get any screen time, like Double Dutch, Apex, or no, not Apex, Predator.
Predator.
Yeah, Predator, Battle Royale with Cheese, Bale Spear.
I'm pretty sure half those bots were destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
What can you do? But there were, despite the fact that this match was basically 3 one-sided squash matches and 1 pretty damn good main event. But I won't say they weren't fun to watch. I mean,
it was fun.
They were destructive. There were pieces everywhere.
I was left wanting more.
Yeah, I think like maybe if there was like a 5th match in here, because. Hey, if it airs on the Science Channel, maybe they'll squeeze in a 5th
I think
match or something.
We have like Gigabyte versus one more. I think it's Gigabyte versus Duck.
Oh boy.
I remember there was that grudge match. There's one other that if they do an extra fight on the Science Channel airing, I think it'll be this other fight I'm thinking of. I don't want to say anything yet, but there's one really good one that I hope gets put in there. I think a lot of people are hoping it's put in, but we'll see.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I have no idea and I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
It's all in the contract. Don't spoil anything.
But on the subject, though, before we get into the final itself, because there's not much to talk about in this final, for those of you who are looking for more BattleBots content, there's BattleBots, is it Resurrection or...
Resurrection.
Oh, yeah.
Resurrected.
Yeah, BattleBots Resurrected, that is an exclusive video series on Discovery's website that you can access for free. You don't have to pay to get it. And it's basically behind-the-scenes footage of the Roboteers repairing all of their robots. And we finally find... The mystery is finally solved as to who Bot 56 was.
Ooh.
Spoiler alert, it's not La Machine.
Ah.
I wish, because La Machine is my favorite American robot.
It's the master of the wedge. I'll be watching the Science Channel version too, but speaking of the Science Channel version, now that we've actually been able to see the match, do we want to talk about Whiplash versus the Yeti?
I think, Matt, well, all I'm going to say is, it's my pick for fight of the season.
Yeah.
That was as JR says, that's a real slobber knocker.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. it was drum versus driving, basically. Like,
Yeah,
Yeti was getting hits in with the drum, but Whiplash was able to outdrive him.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, as I said, if there's one dream matchup I'd love to see next season, I'm really hoping that Whiplash can be a main eventer next season, but I would love to see my dream matchup, Whiplash versus Eruption.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
A Robot Wars crossover.
Yeah, there you go.
Michael Oates is the one Roboteer I'd love to see on BattleBots the most.
Well, who knows? Maybe we'll see him at Robo Games one year.
Maybe.
I'm sure he's allowed to, because if Craig can bring Foxic and
it has to do with like the spinners and being gas powered. No, flippers being gas powered.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, I actually heard he is working on a new bot, but I think he said it's not going to be a flipper.
But we'll see.
Yes,
we'll see.
We'll get that grudge match soon, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Matt, anything left to say about the Yeti versus Whiplash match?
I mean, that was a really hard fight because he was very hard to get around. He doesn't really care about getting to the side of our robot, and we really want to get to the side of his robot. So all he has to do is just point his robot forward, which makes life really hard for us. Because just trying to win a pushing fight is not a good idea. I mean, because you saw our drive motors completely burnt out at the very end of the fight, and that was because we were pushing so much, and that was exactly what we did not want to do. Oof. So that made that fight pretty stressful in a way, because I could feel we were getting slower and slower as the fight progressed. Just kind of how it always is. But this was like to the extreme. Like, we were pushing a lot, and he was pushing against us. It wasn't just like Bronco. We were pushing aside, just pushing him around. Like, he was trying to push us too. So that was a big problem for this fight.
I saw something fly off at the beginning of the match. What was that?
It looked like
that was the front spatula on the lifter.
Yikes.
So he just left the forks underneath for the rest of the fight, which is all we really needed. And that was the part of the reason we didn't use the spatula when we fought Bite Force. We just used the plastic forks because one hit from Bite Force would take that spatula off easy, and most likely it would take the forks with it. So we figured, don't have the spatula, just have the forks. If he hits one fork, that one will be ruined. We still have the other one. So, I mean, that was kind of a risk. Who knows if it would have been better if we didn't do that, but I think it was the right decision, personally. I don't know.
What'd you think of the match, Nate?
Well, when I saw the the preview, which wasn't exactly the preview, it was just the full match, and they just cut out like every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I thought it was a real nail biter, and I think the executives probably had a difficult time deciding which match they wanted to highlight. But I could imagine they wanted to keep in Bite Force and Bronco and Ice Wave because they're all relatively they're the most popular bots. Not to say that you guys aren't.
Oh, yeah,
I'm pretty sure you guys have a pretty big cheering section now. Bronco and. I finally saw it on the Science Channel, and that was a really good fight. Probably one of my favorites.
It had its moments.
Absolutely. So I guess that leads us to the final round, or the final episode, and we start off with the first of the two semifinals shown, Minotaur versus Lockjaw.
We have finally found a way for somebody to beat Don Hudson. Have Daniel Freitas as your driver.
Exactly. Yeah, going into this match, I will say one thing about both these semifinal matches. Everyone had different picks for who would win.
On paper, this could have been a fantastic episode, but as it happened, it was just kind of...
Well,
yeah,
but there were some people you can't count Lockjaw out because Don Hudson's such a good driver.
Oh yeah,
he could have easily just gotten those forks in underneath Minotaur, gotten underneath the ground clearance, and pushed him around and into the walls and such. Mm-hmm. And anyone notice Minotaur looked a little rocky, like it seemed off balance in this match a little bit?
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of how he always is. I mean he has a surprisingly high ground clearance, and the weight's pretty evenly distributed through the robot, so whenever he goes forwards, he does wheelies, which is not good for him, but, I mean, hasn't been too big of an issue so far.
I'm honestly surprised I was surprised that Don Hudson didn't put that rear plow on Lockjaw, but I can understand why.
I think Minotaur would have just ripped it off, wouldn't he?
I feel like if Don comes back next, obviously if there is a second season, I could see Don making something like a blacksmith's 2 forks that attaches, or something that's shock mounted like the plow is, so that that there's not much ground clearance for bots like Minotaur to exploit, and I think it would really come in handy.
I think that they would have wanted if they had used the dissector jaws.
Yeah.
Because we saw how Lockjaw neutralized the drum of Yeti with those teeth.
Oh, yeah. It's true. But, I mean, I don't know, Minotaur's tough because that drum, like, you could hear it scraping, like, the inconsistencies in the floor. Like, it's so low to the ground. You could slide a piece of paper into there, and it'd probably, suck it up or something. But,
it'd probably gum up the drum.
Yeah, but, those forks on Lockjaw really worked against them because Minotaur would just... I mean, when he just touched them, he was just tearing them up, and I don't even think they went weapon to weapon. Maybe a couple times.
I think a few times they did.
The Lockjaw's weapon really couldn't do much just because those forks were so in the way.
And it was basically just a one-sided fight throughout.
Yeah.
Eventually, Minotaur just kept landing hits on it, and eventually Lockjaw just broke down. So, well,
yeah,
it was a good run for Lockjaw, but the Brazilians are definitely determined to win this whole thing, and you can tell they were definitely excited going into the final round.
Well, Danny Freitas, with his face, he's always determined. Seriously, Danny Freitas has some of the best facials for any Roboteer ever.
Yeah,
he puts John Reed to shame.
when he's determined, he's all, and then when he's happy, he's like, yeah.
It's like a football fan when his favorite team wins a Super Bowl,
or a soccer fan. Remember, soccer's the big top sport of Brazil.
I said football.
Football is the pigskin sport. Come on, get it right. Football isn't soccer. Okay.
Hand egg then.
Hand egg. Yeah. So Minotaur goes on to the final, and now we move on to Whiplash versus Bite Force. Matt, you want to talk us through this match?
So, for this fight, I mean, obviously, Bite Force was pretty unstoppable in all of its other fights. I mean, excluding the huge fight, which is kind of a weird situation for them, but they still ended up winning somehow. So it's like, Bite Force is not an easy robot to do anything against, especially for us. I think your best chance against Bite Force is being another big spinner, and we are definitely not a big spinner. We're someone that wants to get under you and flip you over and, outdrive you. And Paul's robot is just so low to the ground. And again, he just needs to point his robot forward, and he's going to win against us, which made life very difficult for us. Because when we went in, we did the same thing for all of our other fights. Same strategy, but when he got one hit on us and we were on the run, then we were kind of done at that point. Like, he got one hit on one of our wedges, and we were running away trying to get to his side, and he did not care. He just went straight at us. And that was exactly what he needed to do to win that fight.
Yeah, it was pretty difficult to watch because I definitely had you winning the match.
Me too.
If you were able to get underneath like the sides of Bite Force and get him over, because Bite Force doesn't work all that well upside down. But.
Yeah, if we got one flip in there, it could have been a different story. But I mean, we just need to make some sort of vertical spinner attachment because he was really the only vertical disc or bar spinner we fought at that event. And I have a feeling next season we'll be seeing more vertical disc spinners. And more
well,
so it's like
no.
Well, so what?
I mean, I'm not even saying more. I'm saying that we might. There were a lot that we didn't face at this event, and with the fight card format, I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing a lot of them in the tournament. So we need to change something on Whiplash. Not exactly sure what we're going to do, but we're going to do something different.
I was just, okay, so the way you said it, I'm like, oh god, we don't need more vertical spinners if there's a next season.
You know what? I still prefer vertical spinners over flippers. I'll tell you that right now.
Screw you, man.
Come on! My bots are vertical spinners, and I think they're really good.
Flippers are master race.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you side with the flippers!
I mean, we only have a few flippers in there right now, and Bronco is really the only one that's, getting far into the tournament. But also, Waiachi's, the Ewart guys are building a flipper that looks insane.
Oh, that thing
I
looks
saw
awesome.
I
really hope to see
compete really bad because that looks ridiculous.
I would love to see a heavyweight version of Upheaval.
Yeah, because
Upheaval. That's kind of Sub-Zero-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Wait, on the topic of flippers, Matt, how much did it suck not being able to tell anyone for like, what is it, like five, 6 months? Yeah, 5 months that you beat Bronco.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know, because really so many people in the, builder community were at the event. So I think it was just really hard for everyone to not spoil everything. Because there was so much crazy stuff that happened in the bracket. I mean, really the fight card fights, there were some crazy stuff that happened. When I got to the tournament, that's where all the crazy upsets, like the Ice Wave fight happened, were huge, just broke in half. I mean, we beat Bronco. There was a lot of weird stuff that happened that I don't think anyone expected. That was very hard for everyone to, keep their mouths shut. But, yeah, I don't know. I just sort of knew it was coming, and I luckily didn't spoil it for anyone.
To think that if Huge did not break in half...
Oh, that would have changed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my god.
Huge would be the new champion.
Nah, I think Matt could handle it.
I mean, that wouldn't be a terrible fight for us, Huge. I think we're better suited for Huge than a lot of robots at the event.
All you have to do is just get your little lifter in between one of those giant gaps in its wheels and you're good.
Yeah. Push it around.
I think if you handled it like at Motorama one year when Jameson beat Huge with like their small version of Saw Blaze, I think you could have, if you like you went disc or backwards with the disc first, I think you could take it.
Yeah, or even just like lift the disc into the bottom of their robot since they're high up. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see that fight next season. Who knows?
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Anything else to say, Nate? Other Nate, what'd you think of this match?
I'm sorry, Matt. That was like
we got killed like bad, but I mean, both semifinals were so one-sided. This was definitely the final fight that we deserved to see. I think Minotaur and Biforce, because both of them were just so dominant against everyone. I mean, Minotaur lost to Tombstone, but that's Tombstone. So I mean, can't count that against them too bad. But yeah, I mean, Lockjaw really just got killed. We got killed even worse, I would say. And I think Biforce and Minotaur are definitely the right robots to be in the final.
Yeah, well, will we be seeing Whiplash at future events? Is it repairable?
Oh, sure. Well, the old Whiplash, it's just we've used it for a couple like displays and stuff and a couple little events. But we already have a frame for a new Whiplash, and we have a second frame set up to be welded together. So the plan is to have 2 Whiplashes, maybe not like full Whiplashes, but enough parts to build 2 Whiplashes. So we don't have to, put the frame back together after getting ripped in half by Tombstone again or something like that.
Yeah, kind of like how the Valkyrie guys brought two versions of their bot to BattleBots, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, same thing. But the new frame's it's a lot tougher than the old one. So hopefully, if we fight Tombstone again, the front of the robot won't get ripped off like it did last time. But yeah, I think it's a big improvement over what we had last season.
But you do have to say, even though you lost, you have to be happy having made the top 4.
Yeah. Oh, totally. We didn't think we got that far. I mean, Robo Games, we got second place, but BattleBots is different because there are a lot more spinners than our Robo Games. And that's our biggest weakness, I would say, vertical spinners. And, bots like Tombstone and Ice Wave, and it's pretty much all the big spinners. But Robo Games, you don't have to worry about that too much. You have like Tora Maximus, maybe a couple others, and Last Rights. But, yeah, a lot more BattleBots.
Yeah.
And I think this year, was pretty great for you guys, because in Season 1, I remember you guys were an alternate, and you only fought in like an exhibition rumble.
Yeah.
Then
rumble.
Season 2, you were one and done when you were reduced to just the highlights. But this season, you took out Bronco. You were on a roll, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was really, we couldn't have asked for much more than this season. I mean, the funny thing is that it was literally the same robot we had Season 2, just like some different internal parts and a couple upgraded things that made a world of difference. Like, I mean, Splatter from Season 2 had some potential. It just had some little stupid things that went wrong. Because Whiplash is essentially the same robot. There's a couple little changes that made a huge difference. Like, I'm talking things as simple as, like, upgraded sprockets that wouldn't just, like, break. I mean, that was... And, like, an upgraded chain for the lifter. were just like two things that made it so much more competitive than it was in season 2.
And it's been a good run. It's great seeing you go as far as you did, and
Yeah,
I'm sure you gained quite a fan base from it. You took it to Tombstone. You beat Bronco. You made it to the top 4. I'm sure if they do have a season 4, they'll be inviting you right back.
oh yeah, hopefully, yeah. Hopefully we'll be seeing season 4 soon. That'd be nice.
So Bite Force moves on to the final round for the second time in its career. And now it's time for the filler match of the evening. Tombstone versus Tantrum.
I'm just gonna say that I'll say it again. I love Tantrum. It's
Oh, yeah,
just,
me too.
it's so adorkable, like Charles Guan.
Yeah. I love how when you see it in the when the match is about to start, you know how usually it has like this angry face on. Now the eyebrows are pointed upward, like, oh no, I'm facing Tombstone.
It didn't feel much like a match. It felt more like an execution. I was a little bit concerned because I thought it wouldn't get, or I had no idea how that thing would get. An execution would be broadcast on or on television.
I got to hand it to Tantrum though. Like, aside from the fists, it held up pretty well.
Well,
Tantrum held up amazing.
They threw all the weight into the armor.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Craig Danby's bots. How like it's really small, but it's got really thick armor, so it's pretty much invincible to all attacks.
Yeah, I mean the thing with that was that Tombstone couldn't really damage them. It just all the shock was too much for the internal components inside of Tantrum because they're using they're really pushing it with what they're doing in there. I think they have they're using gearboxes that people may have used on 60-pounders in there in Tantrum, but I mean, that's kind of what you have to do when you're building a robot that compact. But yeah, I'd like to see Tantrum come back next year and upgrade a couple things. I kind of like that it's so small. I find that pretty funny that just the armor is so insanely thick.
We need more comedy robots on this show.
Yeah. But of course, the big highlight of this match was when Tombstone hit the fist. It sent it flying across the arena and embedded itself right into the wall.
I mean, what it hit, it wasn't because we were all in the, we weren't in the pits watching, all the builders were outside the arena watching a TV. So we could kind of see the arena, but we were mostly watching on a TV. And we couldn't really tell what happened. We just heard a really, really loud thud. Some of us thought it broke the arena or something happened. No one really knew. And then they zoomed in on the fist. We're like, oh my God, what just happened? No, and the funny thing, it hit a tube in the corner of the arena that had all the electrical for the arena.
Oh wow. My God!
So that was literally that was all the lights, everything. So had it gone a little bit further in or something, that could have just screwed up everything.
Oh,
thanks, Ray.
They were worried about because I think they left it in for the final fight because they didn't want to pull it out and ruin something, because they figured if it's in there and it did break some wires or something, everything's still on. We don't want to pull it out and risk screwing everything up. So they just left it in there for the final fight. And they didn't take it out till the end of the event. But yeah, that was insane.
Did Ray get a hold of those fists?
Oh yeah, he has it, I'm sure. Yeah, he's got it next to his other trophies.
Nice.
And that's our John Reed Good Hit of the Night award.
I don't. It wasn't as shocking as when the piece of Aftershock went through the wall,
or Apex,
but it was definitely funny to see.
Yeah,
it was great. Again, it was a squash match, but it was really enjoyable to watch.
If you want to see a robot disintegrating, look up the fights. Either Nitrous versus Stormin' Norman. That's Nitrous with a K, or
because poor literacy is cool.
Actually, it has to do with where they're from, because it's Team Titanium Night. They're from Bergen Tech.
Woo!
And Robo Games, and make sure you throw the Robo Games in your search bar, otherwise you're going to get other videos. Stewie versus Dracula.
Oh yeah, you showed me that match.
Yeah. If you want to see just how brutal Greg Gibson can be.
It's
a classic fight.
Can I just say one thing slightly off topic about this season? I remember last season, there were a few upsets. I know, with the controversial judging and Chomp beating Bite Force and Stinger beating or Stinger losing to Mega Tento.
Yeah.
Like, if we went back in time and told him past us, like, like Bombshell beats Tombstone, or like, what's it, or like, Splatter, well, obviously not the exact same bot.
Yeah.
Yeti, we'd be like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, a lot of crazy stuff happened this season that I don't think anyone really saw coming. The thing was that there were all the top robots from season 1 and 2, but all the, mid-range robots from season 2 and a lot of new robots are at that level now.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rotator and robots like Endgame, Monsoon, like they are all top tier robots that could have gone top 4 finals if they got, a little bit of luck.
I had Monsoon beating Minotaur, believe it or not.
Yeah, but
I'm actually, I just want to talk about Rotator for a sec. I'm so happy they did pretty well, because I felt so bad for them last season, because know they do like the builder bios, and it was like, oh, my dad's in the hospital, he's not doing well. Robot combat has always been a really really good part of our relationship, and I'm doing this for him. 2 hits, done. I felt so bad for Victor, but then he comes back and he's doing really well. He decapitates Ice Wave, and I was really happy to see him do well.
Yeah, that was great. Oh man, Ice Wave.
Like, obviously there were some controversies, but then again, there's always going to be that kind of stuff, like, every season, because, in the days of social media, you gotta have people complaining, oh, they should have won because they did more damage, or, oh, they won because they were more aggressive, oh, their primary weapon stopped working. Yeah, that's Reddit for you. But yeah, but I will say this, because I've been watching Robot Wars and BattleBots since 2004, I believe, and despite the controversies, I still think that this season of BattleBots is hands down one of the best seasons of any robot combat show I've ever watched.
I agree, for sure.
Just plenty of matches. Every machine gets 4 matches, so every robot at least gets some screen time and a chance to actually show what they can do. And I think
this is also the most competitive, one of the most competitive heavyweight tournaments that there have ever been. Because there were so many good robots that could have gone farther than they did. That, even a robot like Endgame that didn't even make the top 16, but was considered one of the toughest robots there. That really shows you how many good robots there were at this event. Yeah. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Anything left to say before we go on to the final match?
I don't think so.
Nate?
Yeah, I'm good.
Other Nate? Other Nate?
Nate is fine.
I'm doing. There's not really much to say. Let's get to the big dance.
All right, Minotaur versus Bite Force, Brazil versus New Jersey, in the final round. And I'll say this right now: this was the best match of the show.
Without question.
Yep, because this could have easily have gone either way. Because
for sure,
both spinners are clashing. Minotaur is throwing Bite Force into the air. Bite Force is getting hits in and flinging Minotaur around. It should have been a lot
longer than what it was.
Yeah, well, once Minotaur's drum stopped working, that was basically it.
There was a brief moment where it was pushing, but it's a 2-wheel drive robot. You can't get a lot of push on a 4-wheeler.
Minotaur was actually getting
he was pushing Bite Force.
Yeah,
I think. They have the same exact drive setup. It's just Paul has 2 more wheels. But those wheels on Minotaur are so grippy that they were pushing Bite Force around for a little while when their weapon had died, and when both their weapons were dead.
And when I saw that Bite Force's weapon was dead, I thinking, okay, this is just going to turn into a pushing match. Nope. Bite Force's drum bit came back up to speed and murdered Minotaur.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was it.
I don't know why Minotaur stopped. Because, it seemed...
I think it jammed up, didn't it? That's what it looked like.
I think they may have lost the belt. I don't know.
Wait,
for the weapon, he's got, 4 belts on there. I think
it jammed.
It was the same thing that happened in the Tombstone fight. Because when they fought Tombstone, the both sides of the chassis cracked in half, and they lost tension in the belts.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's what happened again. Because one side on Minotaur was completely gone. And that's, half their frame right there. That Bite Force just got rid of. So I'm assuming they lost belt tension again. Because they didn't lose any belts, I don't think. The thing is, I don't know why the drive stopped. That's what I'm curious to figure out.
Maybe it was the link.
Yeah.
The missing link.
Isn't it? I've heard that and I might be wrong about this, or the person who told me is that because the one side of Minotaur's chassis came completely off, that was one of the structural elements that was holding the drum in place, and without it, it wouldn't let the drum spin up.
Yeah. But that's what I was saying. Like, because the same thing when they fought Tombstone, that when the sides of the robot broke, nothing was really holding the drum in place. So I think they lost belt tension when that happened, and the belts were just spinning and weren't grabbing anything.
Yeah. So that means Bite Force gets the victory, and they're now a 2-time BattleBots champion, joining the likes of Dissector, Hazard, Ziggo, Biohazard, Dissector, Ziggo.
I mean,
Panzermach from Robot Wars.
Chaos 2.
Do you guys think there's anyone that could actually beat Paul? Because Paul really has a style.
Chomp is the only one who has beaten Bite Force.
I know, yeah.
Think about that. Think about that. Chomp, who has derped its way through several matches, went 0-4 this season, is so far the only robot to ever beat Bite Force.
And even then, it just got lucky. I think Sawblaze could do it.
Sawblaze would have a tough time because Bite Force, its center of gravity is so low to the ground that there is really no lower robot than Bite Force. And I think Sawblaze, if Bite Force just drove forward and kept his front forward, I don't know if Sawblaze could get underneath. Honestly, I think he would have a very hard time with that fight. I think he's one of the robots that has a good chance of beating Paul, but I still think it would be very difficult.
Well, this basically means, that there are going to be some teams who are going to design the robot to try and combat Bite Force. Like, try and get lower wedges, maybe bit bigger, stronger, faster drum weapons.
Yeah, this year, everyone was trying to beat Tombstone, and we saw several robots almost do it, and then we saw Bombshell actually do it. Next year, everyone's going to try and figure out, okay, how the hell can we beat Bite Force?
Because looking back on this season, like, when the season started out, Bite Force was a former champion, but I think it was kind of under the radar for a bit.
For sure.
Because that first match with Blacksmith, it was basically the two just exchanging shots. You weren't sure if who was going to win that match, and Bite Force ended up getting the match. And the match against Endgame, it stopped and then just started again, got one more hit, and that was it. But you start to notice it's starting to gain momentum, like the Hypershock match. It just gutted Hypershock. And who did it have in its fourth match?
It
Bombshell,
completely
maybe?
curb stomped Bombshell.
Suited it. Yeah, and it's like, and then you look back on the season. First off, if I were to give the award for most destructive robot of the season, I'd give it to Bite Force, hands down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
In fact, I saw a video clip. Didn't they win the giant bolt for most destructive?
I don't think there was any video of them with anything.
I saw something. Like
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if they're gonna, when they will announce like who won what awards and stuff.
I'd imagine it's after the Science Channel finishes airing it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's definitely my pick because Tombstone, for the most part, did get some good hits in, but I think Bite Force just did more damage, just ripping out batteries and ripping out all kinds of stuff. And Tombstone was able to take off a robot's shell, but then again, blame China for that. And
it's funny, like season 2 when I saw the new Bite Force for the first time, I was just thinking like, how is anyone gonna beat this robot? And then I lost to Trump, and just like everyone was just like, "How did that happen?" Like,
it's like going on? It's like when Appalachian State beat Michigan.
And then season 3, like I kind of knew Bite Force was gonna be one of the top robots to beat because I mean I was just looking at it, I'm like, what's anyone gonna do to this robot? It's like perfect. I mean, Bite Force is seriously the perfect robot.
Yeah.
I'm.
What was I? No, and I think. I'd love to know if you know, Matt, how many changes they made to Bite Force to make it so perfect this season? Because I remember last season it lost the first fight I know the shock mount sheared off, and then the second fight its motor died, and then obviously the Chomp the Chomp perfect aimbot kill did it in, but then it was doing really well in that Rumble.
Yeah. I mean, I think it took a few fights for him to get, Bite Force to where it is now, because I think that was really his first vertical bar disc spinner. So he was like, I think still figuring out a couple bugs with that. Like the weapon motor he was using is, a lot of people use it, but it's really not the most durable thing that the mini E-Tech he's using. But and the forks coming off, that was just a little, I just don't think he expected the shock mounts to shear like that, and I don't think anyone would have, which that's not really his fault. And and then the chain coming off, I mean, he just made a UHMW enclosure for the chain this year, and funny enough, Huge just went straight through it and took off the chain anyway, so he still ended up losing his chain. It's not exactly the same way. So yeah, I think Paul's robot is pretty much impervious to everything except weird robots. Like robots like Huge, or robots like Chomp, or robots gonna hit you where you don't really expect to be hit. I think that's his biggest weakness. But yeah, against vertical spinners, horizontal spinners, any normal quote-unquote robot, he is very hard to fight against.
Well, yeah, and he's the champion again, and I'm sure once season 4 comes along, all the eyes are going to be on him, just like they were with Ray. So,
for sure.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't be surprised next season if they put him against Ray in a fight card. I really wouldn't be surprised.
Yes, they will.
There's no way in hell they won't.
So yeah, that pretty much covers this last episode. Aside from the 3, so basically it was 3 one-sided matches and a 1 good main event. So I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it a 7.
I'm gonna be a little more negative. I just feel that the final left me feeling hollow. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Nate?
Wait, you mean other Nate?
Other Nate.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I really liked every episode, to be quite honest. I guess I'm easy to please. If they're fighting robots and I'm having a good time and my friends are on TV, that's really all I can ask for. So, honestly, every episode I give like a 10 out of 10, except for maybe one gets like a 9 out of 10, but really, I'm just entertained.
Yeah. How about you, Matt?
I mean, I thought it was a good episode. I think it was maybe not necessarily the ending everyone wanted with Bite Force winning another time, but I think it was the right robot ended up winning. Let's put it that way. Like I think it was a good episode. I think it really showed sort of how good Bite Force and Minotaur actually are. The fact that they just blew through the semifinals like it was nothing, both of them. So I think the right robots ended up where they were.
Yeah. One last thing to note, when they gave the Giant Nut Award at the end, did it seem a bit rushed to you?
Yeah.
Because I guess because the episode was going long, and like it was like 8:59 by the time they were doing the celebration, and I guess they just wanted to get it all out or something like that.
I mean, everything's always running late, and they just kind of want to get everything finished with. But yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I half expected Mike Tenay to come in and yell,
To the back! Wrestling reference. Yeah, but yeah, that pretty much covers this season of BattleBots, but we're not done making podcasts, because next week we're going to be doing an awards show. We're going to have awards for most best driver, most destructive,
most entertaining,
most entertaining roboteer, best
so
newcomer, yada yada yada. We'll have an entire list with nominations together. We're also going to be doing some reviews of more TV shows that feature BattleBots as a little gimmick there. We're actually thinking of going to be doing the review of the Lab Rats episode, Robot Fight Club. And yes, Nate, that's really what it's called. You can make that save that space to reference for the episode. And also, we're going to go back to reviewing Robot Wars Extreme Warriors. We're going to be reviewing Season 2. There's only 2 seasons of the show, but we will be covering Heat A next time with Panzer Mach 4, Cyclone, and Probophobia, so definitely looking forward to that. So, yeah, lots of stuff still going.
And you're doing BuggleBots, right? Because I want in on that.
Oh, you can join us, other Nate.
Yeah, you went to BuggleBots this year.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was really nice. Obviously, I can't say too much because it's not like a legal binding thing, but it's like a sort of hush-hush NDA.
Yeah.
But I think people are going to be pretty surprised because obviously they're not the big bots, but I think people will definitely enjoy it, and the people were wonderful, and everyone was
for sure.
Everyone wasn't taking it too seriously, so
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's always fun. The
Yeah,
insects.
it's good. And I'm happy that they're expanding beetle weights outside of the U.S. because for a while the U.K. didn't have their own beetle weight division, and now they've got events going on for it. You got the UK beetle weight European Championship.
Isn't
The
Bristol
UK
Bot
European
Build? Isn't Bristol Bot Builders a beetle event?
It's Beatles and UK Ant, and I think they're trying to do like non-full combat featherweights.
Oh,
Nice.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, so we're lots of stuff to look forward to. Definitely looking forward to BattleBots, Extreme Warriors,
Other stuff.
other stuff, Lab Rats. Yeah. But I have another event coming up. It's the Franklin Institute event in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Nate and I are going to be going. Other Nate's going to be there as well. We're also going to be doing some filming for that particular event for an upcoming review of the show, and it may have a few surprises. So we're going to look forward to that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what might happen?
I asked for.
Who might show up?
I actually asked Farouk about it on Twitter, and he said that he's going to be in LA. So sadly, he won't be able to attend a robotics event that's in his hometown.
Well, who knows? The future is still bright.
Yeah.
Just like the future was bright for Robot Wars. Yeah, but hey, I think that's all we can. That's pretty much all we can talk about. Overall, this was hands down a fantastic season. Good seeing all these bots, all these matches, and some familiar faces. And hopefully, one of those faces will be us. I just have to get $10,000 and have a heavyweight put together. Yeah. Nate, can you lend me 10 grand?
No.
All right. Until next time, guys, I'm the Hardcore Kid.
I'm Otaku Nate.
Matt Vasquez.
I'm Other Nate.
Until next time, peace out, cease.
So,
Goodbye, adieu, and good night. Bang.